All right, let's get this ball rolling. We're going to record a podcast. This is Boles of Life podcast, episode 0, because you may never actually hear this version of it. We may record a new one. But here we are. We're live. We're just using...
We're not live.
We're like recorded live.
Okay.
We're live like online church.
Like we're hot. I think that's what they say.
Yeah, the mics are hot. I mean live in the sense of like online church in April, May. It was all clearly live across the whole country. No one was pre-recording anything. Okay. We were all pre-recording. So good. All right, so Boles of Life podcast. What are we about? So we got a spiel. Do you want the spiel? We'll give you the spiel. So you first line, me first line?
I think it's you first line.
Me? Okay,
because
cool.
Look, my name's there.
Yeah, it is there. You're right. All right. So welcome to the Boles of Life podcast. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Virginia. As we've gone through life, we've learned something important.
Life is messy. There are a lot of armchair experts out there who will try to tell you how to make it simple.
It's not, so you won't find any here. Instead, you'll find everyday people who have jumped into the mess of life and are making an adventure of it.
Yep. So that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to talk about our lives. We'll probably bring some people in to talk about their lives. We'll probably have some topics and some seasons along the way. But honestly, we're just going to have some fun with this. Life is messy. Sometimes we're busy and we don't get to hang out and spend time with each other. And when we do get to hang out and spend time with each other, we watch Netflix because TV, right? I mean, who doesn't? So we thought this would be fun to do together. So here we are.
Yeah, we like to talk, and sometimes we, get a little out of hand, but we're good conversators.
We get out of hand? I'm not sure I get out of hand. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what you mean by get out of hand.
Well, okay, you're right. You have no emotions whatsoever.
First of all, I have emotions. I just bottle them and push them down deep. And that's where they belong.
And then when my emotions show, Tyler's like, what? I can't handle those.
I handle them just fine, thank you. You know how to handle emotions. It's very easy. It's very simple. You simply stop interacting.
Right. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Like, I don't go, what? No, I know exactly what to do with all of your emotions, babe. I just don't interact, and eventually you get over them, and then we move on with life, and it works out great for us.
Oh, right. Okay. So maybe we should talk about other things. We said our names, so what's next?
Oh, what's next? We can talk about what you do. Who is Virginia and what does she do? You don't have to do who. What?
Yeah. So, this is a difficult question because I feel like I have a couple of titles that I hold on to. First, I'm registered dietitian nutritionist. Second, I'm certified health coach. Both of those are part of my career. And third, I'm a business owner.
Yeah,
which
you
is
are.
So cool and weird and scary to say, especially being as early as I am, or we are, into this business owning business.
Yeah, we're still in the process of getting it launched, realistically. I mean, we have a piece of paper that says... Actually, we have a PDF on my computer that says we're a business, but beyond that, we haven't necessarily done the whole business part.
No, and I always think, like, Virginia, you're, like, the only person that starts a business but tells everybody about it before you actually start it.
Potatoes, they're basically all the same thing.
It's like holding me accountable, though, because now everybody's waiting on it.
That's true. They are.
It's like when you have a baby and they know you're pregnant. It's like, oh, when's the baby due? When's the baby due? When's the baby due? And, like, you have a due date, but, like, babies come when they want to come, or things happen and they get them out when they want to get them out.
Bloop.
Bloop.
Yep.
That's our sound for having a baby.
Bloop.
But yes, it's like having a baby, and people ask when it's going to happen or when the baby's going to get here. So it's like a business. When are you when's this launching? When's this happening? And I'm like, when it happens.
Accurate. Alright, cool. Anything else you want to talk about that you are?
I mean, I'm a wife and a mom. Obviously, I'm married to you.
Accurate.
I don't know. People might not know that.
Yeah.
And I have a sweet baby. Or we have a sweet baby. She's a year old.
Yeah. At the recording of this, she's a year and a week.
Yes, today.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had a birthday party on what was our last weekend. So her birthday is August 13th, just to timestamp that, not necessarily this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, before we dive into other things, we didn't even talk about our weird name of the podcast, Boles of Life.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Well, I always have used it for my blog. My blog. My blog. I have a little Instagram. Boles of Life. It started when we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think originally I thought of it this way, but it came around using the verse John 10:10. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but Jesus came so that we may have life and have it abundantly. Paraphrase that probably a little bit, but abundant life is what Jesus died for. And while it is messy, and while it may not always go as planned or go the way we think it should, we can be content and have abundant life. And I think our dog is twitching in her sleep.
Yes, she is. She's chasing the neighbor cat.
Yeah. So, to have abundant life, I think, is not to think about what you have, like material things, but what you have in Jesus and how you can live that out. And so, Boles of Life, our last name is Boles.
Bowl, like a bowl of cereal, in case you want to make sure you're hearing that correct.
Lots of life up in that bowl.
Spelled different. But yeah, it's a bowl full of life. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm a pastor. You preached, but I'm a pastor. Go figure. I dig that there. Yeah, I spent a few years.
Give me a mic.
That's right. Spent a few years in student ministry. We did some mission stuff. Spent about a year working in essentially a Bible bookstore, Lifeway. I can name it. I don't know why I didn't name it. I worked at Lifeway before the physical stores closed. They're still open, just online only, for those of you who are curious. Yeah. I now work at a church called The Exchange in Pearl. I wear the title Connections Pastor.
What does that mean?
We're still connecting it to a meaning. Every time.
You think that's funny?
Oh, gosh, it's hilarious. I'm pretty sure my lead pastor gave me that title just to make that joke. He doesn't make it much anymore, but early on we did. It was fun. No,
there is a meaning behind it.
Yeah, so the connection side of it, my role originally was to make sure we're connecting people, yes, to the church, but ultimately to Jesus, and to make sure people don't fall through any cracks within the systems. And when I use the word systems, I mean the different types of processes we help people, we use to help people take next steps. I still oversee all of that. I eventually came in to start overseeing our guest services team, which is, again, connecting with people. We use guest services, you can think of it like our welcoming team. And then I also oversee most of the things you'll experience online for the exchange. Our social media, our website, I manage all of those. So those are the fun things I do. Yeah.
And when you said connection to the church.
Yes.
My initial thought was like to the church as a building, almost.
Nope.
But that's because I was waiting for you to say, like, connect you to each other, like, connect to the church members. Not that we're trying to make a point here, but...
No, we are. Church is not a building.
Is not a building. The church is the people.
Absolutely.
And I feel like maybe in some worlds that is oversaid, but I don't think it ever needs to stop being said.
Yeah, we refer to 417 North Beardaman Road. It's a weird name. That's our location. That is the building. That's not the church. I refer to it when I talk about it as the building. That's how our whole staff.
Which is a culture.
Yep.
And it's a hard change. I still catch myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Saying it.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Anytime family or out of town friends are around, like, hey, where's your church? I'm like, I can show you where our building is. Like, do
you do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's in my DNA at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. We told you we got a little kid. We have been married for just over 5 years now, and so we had a baby. She popped out just over 4 years into our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're figuring out this whole parent life thing.
We're experts.
Yes, armchair experts, which are the best kind, right? Monday morning quarterbacks, the best. Yeah, so we're here just having some fun on a podcast. That's
what you don't know
a little bit of our family
about Tyler is that he is going to use phrases
that
you may or may not have ever heard of.
First of all my phrases are amazing.
Or you might have to have some sort of reference, like the Monday morning quarterback.
That's a very common phrase.
I wasn't saying it was uncommon, but I don't know nothing about what happens in the locker room on Monday morning with the quarterback, so I don't know.
No, Monday morning quarterback is actually the guys at the coffee house who know everything about what the team should have done.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I was wrong.
There you go.
See, I didn't even know.
Well, anytime I use a phrase, call me out on it.
It's
so
fun,
I'll
but I might have to get you to explain it.
I can tell you how things are all copacetic. What's that one mean, Virginia?
They good. They gelling together.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about our child.
Our child. She's awesome. Her name is Luna, like the moon, and it is Spanish for the moon. Oddly, a number of people have said that to us, like random people in restaurants. When they're like, what's her name? It's Luna. It's like, oh, that's Spanish for moon. Like it's not even like, oh, I know what it means. It's like they tell us, oh my gosh, did you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we named her that. We're aware. Thanks.
Right. It's like when people... I never thought about this. It's like when people are like, hey, Virginia. Or like, oh, I tell them my name's Virginia. And they're like, like the state.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was a name before it was a state.
Probably. People used to go, like the song Meet Virginia, but it turns out we're getting old. And not as many people recognize that song, or at least younger people don't.
Young people don't.
Yeah, Meet Virginia. It's interesting.
We're 28. Are we young?
No. Hey, we want to share a little bit of our story of how we came to be the Boles. I want to tell you. You want to tell? So start it. I don't know.
I don't know. I like to hear you.
You like to hear me talk about it? Okay.
I'll correct you when you're wrong.
First of all, I'm never wrong. Okay, I take that back. There was one time in my life I was wrong. I remember it vividly, but that's a whole other story.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, towards the end of 7th grade in band, we were both in band. This girl got sat in front of me. This flute player. I was a baritone player, and I did what any logical 7th grade boy would do to the girl sitting in front of her or him. I kicked the back of her chair. And man, believe it or not, she didn't really get interested because I kicked the back of her chair. Which was really surprising to me. I was like, obviously, I had the best game in the world. Why is this girl not picking up what I'm laying down? But she did not. Not even a little bit.
I mean, it was cute, but you were weird, so, you know.
That didn't change. But yeah, so kicked the back of her chair for a little while. We hit the summer in between 7th and 8th grade. Went to a lot of summer league baseball games. I hate baseball, for the record. But I went because that same girl that sat in front of me was still super cute. And her brother played baseball, and she went to all the summer league baseball games.
I thought you were going to watch your cousins.
I could have given a rip. I didn't have a lot better to do anyway, and I did hang out with other people that were also there, but you were the pretty biggest factor that kept me coming back every time.
Yeah, so you asked me out that summer, and I was like, no, my friend zoned you.
Yeah.
Which, we were really good friends, and we continued on in our friendship for a few more months until I realized I liked you.
Yeah.
And
had to beat a guy up. It was a whole ordeal.
Whatever. Okay.
There was another guy. I didn't beat him up.
And then you asked me out again, and I said, okay.
That's accurate. That's how that went down.
In the 8th grade, we were 13 years old.
Yeah,
13,
we were.
Almost 14.
Yeah, we were. And so
2005.
We started dating. Whatever you want to call dating. Though we did go on dates. So we sat in the back of our parents' vehicles, and they took us
to the movies.
Yep, to the mall and out to eat, and they would drop us off and go to Walmart, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know what they did.
Yeah. I know sometimes my mom would literally sit in the parking lot and, like, read, I guess, because smartphones weren't a big thing at that moment.
Our parents.
Yeah.
How sweet they were.
You guys are the MVP. Obviously, y'all are all of our listeners, so you guys are the MVP.
Right.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, so we continued dating all the way through college.
Yep. We dated through college, and then we got done with our bachelor's degree. So we went to a junior college together, Jones County Junior College, which is now just Jones College, apparently.
It's cooler now.
They
have Taco Bell.
They do have Taco Bell. I'm super ticked about that. They put Taco Bell in, like, the year after we left. Still angry. Anyway. But yeah, so we left there, went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and you went to?
University of Southern Mississippi.
And I went to William Carey University. They were both in the same town. Mine was a private Christian college because I was training to be a pastor. That's not the right word.
Studying.
Studying? I don't know. I got a religious education degree, essentially. Yeah, so we did that, and then we got done with our bachelor's. And
so we were 9.5, almost 10 years
not
together.
Quite. Well, by the time we got to our actual wedding, we had we had another year to wait because you were in an internship,
right?
Which was just miserable on multiple levels. But mostly because we had a whole other year to wait, and college was technically done. It was done for me.
Yeah,
so
that was a weird year.
It was. And we didn't live in the same place that year, which
you
also
were
sucked.
2 hours away.
Yeah, hour and a half. Hour when I drove.
I guess it was
the way I drive, or at least drove then.
Right.
Yeah, didn't take a long time.
We're almost 10 years together. We got married 2015. Do people really care about this?
I don't know, but we're telling them about it.
And then our baby came 4 years later.
Yeah, it did. Some stuff happened in between there, but,
Yeah.
Life.
I mean, we could tell about our year in Australia.
Absolutely.
After we got married.
Right after we got married. So, I was actually going to do, top 2 or 3 favorite memories outside of the couple of highlights. So, obviously, that's one.
Yeah. So, living in Australia for a year, which... Wow, I missed that.
Yeah, that is top 1 highlight.
Those people. What's another one?
Why did we go to Australia, Virginia? You can't just go, we went to Australia and lived there for a year and then move on.
We wanted to say things like Sheila and good day.
Alright, no one says Sheila. Some people do say good day.
Yeah. And they do say mate, but they don't use those together.
You don't say good day, mate. Only really bogan people do that.
Okay. We went to Australia on a mission, that's how I say it, on a mission to teach scripture in the public schools. So we volunteered, partnered with a church there, and we did a lot of help with church ministry and youth and some other things. College, life group ministry type things. We did a lot of other stuff. I feel like we did stuff
We did a lot of stuff.
It was fun. It was great. It was stressful sometimes, but
that was the first place we got to really be a part of healthy Christian community with people our age. Like, there was student ministry, when we were students, but 90% of students in student ministry are there to hang out more than anything else, and that's just part of it. They're figuring it out, but that was the first time we were in, like, really healthy community that helped us grow.
Yeah, no, that was a great year, a great experience, and I would go back in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Except I'm really happy here, what we're doing here,
Mm.
which we'll, of course, talk about more.
Absolutely. What's another top memory? So Australia is always top of the list.
Do you already have one?
I don't know. I got some thoughts, but
I don't know. A memory that always comes to mind is the night you told me you were going into ministry.
that's
we
fun.
were 15.
I want to hear your story. I don't think I've heard you tell this like ever. I tell it occasionally.
You know my memory, so I might have meshed two things together.
Go for it anyway.
But
we were older than 15.
No, we were. Well,
I was
okay.
driving, so
Yeah. We were older than 15.
We were probably almost 17. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Again, memory. I just remember you telling me, for some reason I felt like it was in a truck driving somewhere in Meridian near Walmart.
I don't know if that's where we were,
but somewhere.
We were in the vehicle.
And you told me, and I think in that moment, I was like, yep, I'm marrying this guy, we're doing this. Not that I didn't already think that, like, yeah. But it was more of like a shocker for me because I was that kid that was like gonna, oh my gosh, I don't even like want to repeat this, but like I didn't want to move. I didn't want to leave my hometown. I had never moved bedrooms. I had never moved houses. I had never moved schools. I had never moved churches. So like to think about being married to a pastor was like, okay, we're going to be moving places a lot. I guess that was the stigma.
Yeah. Depending on your denomination, if you're a Methodist in the Methodist church as a pastor, you definitely will move a lot. Unfortunately, it just tends to happen a lot with smaller churches, whether that's the church doesn't like the pastor or the pastor doesn't like the church. That's typically part of it. I don't know what the statistic is at this point, but several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was average pastor's tenure at a church was about 1.5 years. So less than 2. So, yeah, it does tend to happen that pastors move a lot. Thankfully, not been my journey.
Yeah.
Not heavily, I guess.
No.
My first church I was at for 3 years. Second one was a little over a year and a half.
Because we went to Australia.
Yeah, we left for Australia. Australia was a year, but we knew that going in. And then I did an interim, but that doesn't really count. I knew that was only going to be a couple of months.
Interim,
yeah, and then been at the exchange for about 2.5 and have zero plans of going anywhere else. All right, so another memory number 3. So, preface, the staff team I work with, many of us are workaholics, partially because we enjoy what we do, partially because we know there's internal impact of what we do, and partially we're just...
You like being by each other?
Yeah, we like being by each other. We're also all perfectionists, and so if things aren't just exactly the way we know they can be, like, we jump into it. But occasionally we've managed to stop and do other things with our lives. Occasionally. So I convinced our worship pastor, because he might be the workaholic of all workaholics amongst us. Though I think at that moment he was worship and students, which was part of it. But anyway, convinced him one Friday, because Friday's supposed to be our off days, to actually take it off. And we went and played disc golf. After we finished, went and grabbed some lunch, and we were just kind of chatting. And he asked me to tell him about Australia, because he knew we'd been there, knew we'd done some mission work, but like had never really talked about it, like the experience, why we came home, things like that. And so as I kind of was talking it all out, I had this moment where I went, oh, snap. We moved to Australia so that we could come home to the United States, so that Virginia could take a job in Flowood. We rented a house actually in Pearl, and we went to a church because the guy who was in charge of the mission board that we went through, when we debriefed with him and told him we were moving to the Jackson area, he said, oh, cool, well, there's this church in Pearl that my daughter goes to, and she really loves it. You guys should go check it out. That church was the Exchange. We moved to Australia so we could move back to Pearl so that God could put us at the Exchange.
Yep.
It was just one of those moments where it was like, that's such a weird sequence of events. Like, we're from Mississippi. We moved to Australia to end up back in Mississippi where we've settled. That's not to say someday we won't go somewhere else, but it's not on the radar the way it was then.
It's so funny to do that, like, to look back. And
Yes.
we know that God is in control and is sovereign over everything. But a lot of times you're in the moment and you don't realize it. Like, you don't think about it. Like, you might even be worrying about it. Like,
Oh, yes.
what's going to happen next? And I think about that. And while we're on the topic, we might as well go here because in my internship, I had plans to be a graduate assistant the following year. So we would have been married, but I would have been a graduate assistant. And I really don't know what we would have done at that point. And then through my internship, I made a connection. And so then I wasn't going to be a grad assistant. I was going to get a job.
You basically had a job.
I had a job lined up, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But you were at the church. You were at our church in Quitman.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that told us about Australia came and spoke. And we heard about that opportunity through him, through Steve. And it was like I had to get from wanting to be a graduate assistant to being able to move to another country, an island nation that was
Yes, it is.
17 hours ahead or behind. I don't know the times.
Depending on the time of
Yeah,
year.
but
Sometimes
just
it's
like
15.
Far away. Like I had just accepted like being able to move out of state, you know. And here we are, gonna move out of country. But it was like God just had to move these things in my life to get me ready and prepared for that. So yeah, but like you don't feel it in the moment. Like you just think that that's like what life is doing, or like what, you know, how life is going. But then you look back and you're like, oh, like that was God.
So what I'm hearing you say is there might be purpose in some of the messiness of life.
Yeah, and I love that we're talking about messiness when I have mashed potatoes all over me from dinner.
Virginia, why do you have mashed potatoes all over you?
Because, well, I cooked, A, and, you know, messy.
It happens, yeah.
B, Luna.
Yes.
Yeah, she took her full of mashed potatoes hand and nailed me with it on my leg. So
Yes, she did. Our daughter's a very good eater. But by very good eater, we do not mean a very clean eater.
no.
She's also one, so
Well,
you
one
know,
always.
right. But yeah, she's a...
But yeah,
she got
messy.
you messy.
Yeah, she got me messy. And God works through the messy.
Yeah. So maybe this was a bit of a messy episode. Maybe we didn't do it exactly all lined out the way we wanted. Maybe I stumbled over a word in the intro and still haven't forgotten about it because
Are
I'm
you
a very
serious?
type A personality and I can't let things go like that because it wasn't perfect. And
Even though we could re-record it.
we could, but it's more fun
messy.
this way. It's messy. We're doing this
And
for
our house
fun.
is messy. Like, come on over. I don't care. Tyler does, but I don't.
I mean, our house isn't really messy. Like, to define messy on a scale of 1 to 10, I give us a 2 at best. On a really, really terrible day, I give us like a 4.
Oh, well, then your scale isn't compared to some of my friends' houses.
Yeah, well, they cleaned up for you to get there. They didn't clean up until you were about to get there.
The scale is relative to whether you're having visitors or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, that's
Anyways.
totally true. All right, so here's what you do. All right, here's what you guys do. Number 1, wherever you listen to your podcast, it should not be Apple Podcasts. While you should rate us on your Apple Podcast app, get a better app. Do not like it.
Tyler, I have to calm him down sometimes. Don't be so
Don't
mean.
like that one. It
is a difficult podcast, but I don't want them to hear us say that and like kick us off.
Yeah, well, I don't think
We're
that's
going to
how it
edit that
works.
part out. Can you start over? Don't say that.
Nah, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, yeah, so rate us wherever you are. Listen on Apple Podcasts if you want to.
And thanks for listening if you did.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I just found one I like better. And
Overcast.
yeah, Overcast is good. So rate us, give us a review if you really want to talk about it, and make sure, when I say rate, I do mean 5 stars. Nothing less is acceptable. Share this with a friend, and at the end of the day, listen to the episodes. Whether you actually listen to them or not, you can totally mute your phone, put it on 4 times speed. I don't know if you can do that on Apple, but you can do it on Overcast. That's part of why I like Overcast. You can speed that dude up. And so put it on 4 times speed, mute it, and just let it play through, because it helps the algorithms that might help people somewhat see this. Will people see it? Will they listen to it? I don't know. Probably not. But you did, so we appreciate you guys. So this has been episode 0, technically episode 1 if we air it. Thanks for being here.
There's your messy Boles of Life.